Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from AnthonysCustoms, and for this review, I am so very happy to be showing you the SH Figuarts Super Saiyan 3 sewn Goku figure. This is the new one, the one that replaces that utter turd that we got so many years ago. I'm so happy that they finally replaced it, and I'm very happy to tell you that most of the stuff going on with this figure is very good stuff. It's mostly good. It's not perfect, but there are some really good things, and then there are some things that are rather questionable. We're going to talk about all of that, so let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands, well, let me straighten his legs out. This guy stands just about, to the very top of his hair, about 16 centimeters, to the top of his head, about 14. That's probably going to be close enough because it really depends on how you have him posed. So the top of the hair, we're about 6 1/4 inches, and then about 5 3/8 to the top of the head. And he fits in scale pretty much standardly with all of the other Figuarts. For instance, I'll show a photo at the end with more comparisons, guys, because I borrowed some of my brother's figures to show you guys. You know, we're pretty much all, they're in scale. There's really no issue there, at least with the other Goku figures. So this guy, hey, look at that. He's got some shading on his crotch, but it doesn't look like he pissed himself, so that's a really good thing. There's no poop trail coming out the back, so that's a good thing. However, looking at these older figures, I haven't seen mine in forever, and I was just thinking, like, the shading used to be so much better. Look at this figure, which is not that old. This is relatively modern. He's got shading throughout his entire orange. He's got light shading on top of the darker orange, and it looks fantastic, and it's a little bit more vibrant. Look at how muted this one is. It's a little disappointing to me that they have these more muted colors now. It's not a huge deal, but it is a little disappointing. He does match almost perfectly, though, with this one. So if you want to match the two most modern Goku molds, you can do that. We're pretty much spot on. I'm very pleased with that. The colors are almost identical, so that's okay. But if you notice, there's one thing that's not almost identical, and that is the hair. It's metallic. It's very metallic. And I know some people are going to hate it, some people are going to like it. Me, I personally, subjectively on its own, I don't mind it. I kind of like the gold. However, it doesn't match the rest of the figures. And you could make the argument that it's Super Saiyan 3, so that's okay. But I think we should have some kind of compromise and just keep it uniform. Bandai, stop changing things. Why are they all different? Stop that. I think the metallic's fine to some extent, and I think not being metallic is fine to some extent. So just pick one and make them all the same. Then we'll be okay. Obviously, this guy's shading is way too severe. This guy's shading is way more subtle, but they focused it right around his head only, or his face only. So it's just weird looking. But I don't mind the gold on its own is what I'm saying, but I don't know. I don't like the fact that none of them match. But that's a bigger issue than just this figure. On its own, if you never bought another figure and this is the only one you have, I think it's fine. I think the gold looks okay like that. But, you know, that's very subjective. It's nicely done. It's very well handled. I would have preferred the shading not be just around the face. But other than that, it looks okay. And then, like I said, the shading on the crotch, it's not anywhere near as bad as some of the other ones. So I guess that's okay. But otherwise, we don't really have any other shading. So be aware of that. All right, let's look at the accessories before we do anything else. We have a few different faces. We actually, in the package, get the smirking face on the figure, so he does have a smirking face. It looks a little weird, but kind of good at the same time, so I'm okay with it. I know some people don't like it, but I kind of do. Then we have the stern face looking off to the side, which I think looks absolutely fantastic. We have the teeth gritted face, which mostly looks pretty good, and then we have the yelling face, which again mostly looks pretty good. I think these final faces look better than the prototype ones, so I'm very happy about that. There was something weird about the eyes in that. We have a bunch of different hands. We have the 2 fist hands that come on them in the package, 2 flat palm hands, 2 instant transmission hands, 2 martial arts hands, 2 charging Kamehameha hands, and then 2 wide open blast hands, whatever else you want to use those for. We do have his removable halo, which is a nice feature, and then we have 1 display stand, which is probably just to help him for standing up. Good thing to note for this guy, as you saw on the original turnaround, he can stand unassisted. You're going to have to be a little creative in your posing and very careful with your balancing, but he can. Unfortunately, the hair is still super heavy. It's very solid plastic, and what I mean is it's not hollow at all. And that's disappointing because It's, as far as I can tell, the same mold as the original one, except they shortened the length of the pegs or made the sockets deeper so that the articulation is essentially not there anymore, which means it totally doesn't need to be solid. They could have just made it hollow, all one piece, or at least a couple of pieces. They could have definitely handled with some, or dealt with some weight reduction here. It's not a big deal, but it's something worth noting. But like I said, there is almost no articulation in it now, so be aware of that. And if you guys are really, really hurting for a trip down memory lane, I'll go ahead and show you this turd. Gosh, like I said, I'm borrowing these from my brother, these older figures, and when I first looked at this, I was like, I'm pretty sure this is a bootleg, Nick. Well, this definitely looks fake. And he's like, nope, it's not. I bought it in the package from a regular store like normal, and I'm like, I don't remember it being this bad. And it does have the printing on the back, and I compared it to my old video of my old Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and as far as I can tell, this is not a bootleg. It's just that bad. I still want to say it's a bootleg, but as far as I can tell, it's not. So it's either the best bootleg in the world, and it's just that bad in general, or it is just that bad in general, and we just don't remember it that way. Rose-colored glasses, right? Either way, it was at least close to this. I know that much. So if this is somehow a bootleg, which I really don't think it is, and I have a trained eye for this kind of thing, it's just a lousy, lousy figure, and this one is infinitely better. So right off the bat, we're better off there. Can you guys tell I like Super Saiyan 3 Goku? We're gonna talk a little bit more in this video. Hopefully you guys don't mind that. We have a lot of new stuff going on in the body, guys. We have these brand new arms. They look fantastic. They're definitely not exactly the same as this Goku. I know some people were concerned with that they might be the same. Maybe some parts are, but they look bulkier to me, and the shoulders are definitely different. So I don't think they're the same arms at all, but he's definitely got a little bit of thickness to him, which I think is really good. He should for Super Saiyan 3 Goku. We do have the new style hips, which I don't personally mind. We'll go through the articulation in a minute, but we want to talk about the knees. Normally I would save this for the articulation point, but since this is a new thing and it's kind of an aesthetic thing also, we're going to talk about it now. We don't like the old knees. That's pretty much a universal truth. Nobody likes these knees as far as I can tell because of that. We have that really goofy looking joint. It does look nice. I mean, it functions nicely, and then it looks nice when the legs are straight, but that's about it. So that's definitely disappointing. We've had a variety of different knees. None of them seem to really be great, and unfortunately, these are not great either. They just, for some reason, refuse to do it the right way. These are definitely better. You can see we have a kneecap now, but you still have this huge chunk of open mechanism in there that's just obviously ugly. I don't get it. We do get good functionality, but there's no reason for that. It's so easy to just make this part rounded. Make the calf one rounded piece, make the thigh come down, one single joint. This whole piece rotates around. The inside part of the upper calf sticks out, and it fills the gap. It's perfect. Pretty much the same way Figuarts do it on their kits. That would be fine. Or the Figuarts Kayabuki, or a dozen other figures, or the variable action heroes Usopp. It can be done. I don't know why they didn't do it. This knee, while not terrible, it's still not good. And this is a brand new design, so why did they do it? That's the question. I don't know. Okay, there is something to talk about for the ankles, but we'll talk about that when we get to the articulation down there. Let's talk about this neck joint, because I know a lot of people are going to be like, hey, let's swap the heads and make a brand new Goku, which is a good idea, I think. But you can't. Not without modification. We have a totally unique joint up here for the hair and for the head, so be aware of that. It's not just going to swap out. You're going to have to do some modification. So the neck is on a ball peg, so it moves around pretty much like normal, and then the head is just on a hinge with a swivel. It's not really going to give you the best range in the world, but since the hair is super heavy and big, you're not going to need it anyway. For the shoulders, we actually have a butterfly joint now. A true butterfly joint, not just a posable or a movable piece in there. It's a butterfly joint, and then the arm connects to the shoulder connects to the inner part with a ball peg, so it moves around like that. This piece is pretty much the same as always. It just floats around on a ball peg. You can raise the arm up pretty well, but it's still fairly limited, which I don't like. I don't like limited articulation on a figure like this, so that's definitely a bummer. You're gonna have to kind of mess around with it to raise the arm, so be aware of that. Bicep swivel's fine. Double jointed elbow gives you a little bit better than 90. I think that's pretty good. For the wrist, we have our standard hinge or ball hinge, so that's pretty much fine. I'm not 100% sure what's going on in here. It doesn't seem to really stretch apart or anything, so I think it's just a ball peg. So we have a ball peg at the top and then another one at the bottom. It could be a double of some sort, or there could be a hinge mixed in, but functionally speaking, you can rotate it around and hinge it around and move it around however you want, and you're going to be just fine. We have the floating belt piece, which is actually nice and tight to the body, but it does move around, so that's really good. And then for the new hip design, you can bring the legs all the way up to the front, so that's really nice. All the way back pretty much, so that's really nice. Going out to the side, pretty limited though. I mean, relatively speaking, don't get me wrong. I mean, that's pretty good, but it could go farther. So, I mean, we've seen them do it on Chun-Li and maybe even Ryu, so it's interesting that these can't, but I think it's okay. The hips are a little bit loose. You'll notice the hair is actually pulling the figure back as I'm posing it sometimes. So the hips are kind of loose, not exceedingly loose, but they are a little bit. You do get a thigh swivel out of these hips, and it works pretty nicely, so I like that. And you can slide this cap piece down a little bit when he's in a neutral stance to reduce the amount of seams, and I think it looks okay. I know a lot of people don't like this look, and I totally understand why. I think it's an okay alternative. I'd rather have the better functionality, so I'm okay with it. As far as the knees go, we already talked about that. And then for the ankles, it looks like we're going back to just the double ball peg again, which is pretty disappointing. However, he has a little bit of a better ankle rocker, so they adjusted at least some, so I like that. Going forward, it's still almost completely limited, and then going back, it's still just a little tiny bit. We have our toe hinge. So they definitely need to work on the ankles. I don't understand why the ankles are the way they are. They could do a ball hinge and make it work wonderfully. We just saw that recently, but now we're not seeing it again. So I don't know, guys. Mostly this figure is fantastic. I like it a whole bunch. Yes, it is my favorite version of Goku, but the figure actually does live up to what it should be. So there are some drawbacks, I'll give you that, but I think you're definitely going to like it. It's probably the best mold for Goku to date. It's not perfect, but it's definitely in a close running with this one. These are two very solid figures, and I think this one might prevail just because I like it more and I get to say so. But yeah, no, they're both very solid. I think maybe the torso's a little better on this guy, but I don't really remember this one too much, so I don't know. Yeah, definitely get it, guys. I recommend it 100%, as long as you're aware of those few small issues. It is either already or will be soon in stock at Big Bad Toy Store. That's how I got in mine, but I'm not sure if they still have more to fill new orders. But either way, check it out. The link in the description below if you want to grab one. You can get yourself one, and it's a pretty cool figure, so I recommend it. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos up every single day. We talk about action figures, movies, TV shows, video games, all kinds of fun stuff. So make sure you come back for that. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. And in the meantime, keep collecting.